Because are you recording? Are you? Oh, I need to start.
You told me to just roll in.
Roll out.
That's what you wanted.
I can't talk to the viewers and the listeners about me fancying some random in my office building. That's not appropriate, Stephanie.
But you've just done it.
Great. Well, my day was fine because I just was in my office. Nothing exciting.
What did you do in your office?
I did my work.
Oh, you're like a little school child.
Yes. Did you have to do that when you were little? On the weekend, on Saturday we went to the park and I played on the Switch.
Oh.
Today I went to the office and I did all my work and I had a meeting with my boss and then I came here to do the pod.
Good one. Can you do it in French?
I did A-level French, you know.
I know.
But it is highly unlikely that I remember that because the last time I spoke French, I was 17.
I got a degree in French, but I'm not doing it.
Ooh la la.
Yeah,
That's about
that's the summary of it,
reach.
essentially. That's more or less it.
Très bien.
Although the French language is a lot smaller than the vocabulary than the
Smaller.
English language. English vocabulary is like ridiculous. We have like 200 words for everything.
We've made it unnecessary.
We have.
Full show.
We have. My day was also just working from home.
Is this what people tune in for?
My fridge still isn't fixed,
Your fridge still is not fixed.
but it probably will be tomorrow. The electricians are coming round.
Praise be.
I know. I can store food again. Let's get to it quickly because we're reaching.
I don't know what is happening. Anyway, welcome.
Put your hand over there.
Oh, God.
It's not, you know that game where you put your hand in it, some beans.
No, if you're not watching.
Ali's putting her hand in like
out of there.
You know those like it's not furry, but it's like
You're not making it better.
get the cop.
Oh my God! Right, so bear with
It's
us.
like
people.
hair. It's like a hair. It's like a hair.
Because I'll wet myself.
It's a plastic hole.
Stop! You're not making any better.
It's that wires come through it.
Anyway, for any children listening,
The wires come
go and
through.
get your.
Ali's putting her hands in it because she's got to put her hands somewhere all the
I just said
time.
for any children listening, go and get your parent. What a seamless.
Okay, carry on with your segue. Handy,
So
handy, Ali.
yeah, can you just right before we start? We're going to be talking about parents in this episode,
Not our parents.
not our parents.
Thank God.
But before we start, I just like full disclosure, as always, very honest. I think we're both a little bit delirious. Well, I certainly I am tired.
I'm slightly
wired.
slightly delirious.
I've had a bit of a fizzy drink, and I don't drink fizzy drinks often.
You've had about 4 mouthfuls.
Yeah, and I don't drink fizzy drinks often, and I don't drink tea or coffee, so I don't really have caffeine. So I'm excited to find out what I talk about on this episode because I don't know where it's going to go. But we are going to talk about parents. Steph, I'd like for you to tell me about a time job interview. No, I'm joking. Oh, you look so scared.
I thought you'd prepped something. I
Yeah,
know.
you don't. Yeah, see how you like it when the interviewer becomes the interviewer.
Come on then, ask me a question.
I didn't actually have one. Let me make one up. Tell me about. Have you got an example of a time, like a really good experience interaction with a parent as a coach?
Oh,
Yeah, curveball there. Because usually interactions with parents as coaches is difficult.
no, I have no experiences. No, I have some good experiences of interactions with parents. Mainly parents that I've known for a while and I've been able to build up my relationships with.
Yeah.
I have a parent that's become a really good friend,
Oh,
but
hashtag boundaries.
yeah, we could talk about that. I have examples of where I've identified things with players that they maybe need support with, and I've worked with the parents to figure out, where do you think they're at? Where do I think they're at? How do you think I can help? How do I think you can help? How can we support from both sides to try and support the player? That's been really lovely experience,
Yeah.
I think.
And with any healthy, functioning relationship, communication is key.
Exactly. And I'd actually feel like a lot of, because we will talk about issues with parents,
Oh, yeah.
but a lot of it stems from communication in the sense of like, maybe as a coach, you haven't adequately communicated before something happens. Maybe sometimes it's scary to have certain types of, I don't know why I keep looking at your notes. Maybe sometimes it's scary to have certain, oh no, I've just outed you.
Can I just say,
I'm noteless.
Can I just say I don't, well, you're noteless, but you're looking at mine. No, can I just say I don't have notes. I've got like bullet points because my memory is awful. My memory when I'm tired is non-existent. So I've just reminded myself of some stuff.
That's a good idea.
And Steph is now exploiting it.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Not exploiting. Revealing.
I've revealed on earlier episodes that I'm a coach with notes.
Coach. I thought you said coach with no knowledge. That's what you tried. I'm so sorry.
That's karma. That cough.
That is. No, but I think a lot of it comes down to communication. And actually, when I started coaching, parents was the thing I was most nervous about. I was really, really nervous about it.
What were you like? Sorry.
Do you want me to expand?
Yeah, please.
I was nervous
Please
about
help me with my vocabulary.
how they would see what I was doing. I was nervous about if they would have any challenges for me. I was nervous about if they would think I was doing the best for their kids, if they would talk to each other about me. All those things happen and have happened. I'm less nervous about them now, though, because I've been through them quite a few times. But yeah, it was really...
It can be intimidating, for sure. And I think to any parents listening, because there will be coaches who are listening who are also parents and whose children might play in other teams that are coached by other people. But even if you're just listening and you're not a coach, but you are a parent, like if there's like we said, communication is key, but there's ways to communicate with people, and equally there's ways to communicate with your child's coach. And coaches don't take kindly to public humiliation, arguments in public.
Does anyone?
Or just being like told like how to do your job while you're trying to do it. And it's like, you know what? If you think you can do this better, why don't you go and do some coach education and then come and do it?
That's my favourite.
But don't come hollering at me on the touchline because you think that I've got this wrong. I think but I think this is why communication is key, and it's really important in order to foster positive relationships with parents of the children that you're coaching, if you're coaching children. It's really important to kind of set your stall out as early as possible, and to even just to have a meeting with the parents really early on in the season or whenever you join that club, and just explain to them your approach and what you're going to be working on, and kind of why. And you don't need to justify it, but I just think it helps if you explain why you're doing what you're doing and why you do it in the way that you do it. And then they kind of have to either like it or lump it. It's like you either are on board with that, or maybe it's like when you're selecting a school for your child. Well, then if you don't like it, go find somewhere else, you know? But don't insult and attack and abuse someone who is trying to do their job, especially in grassroots and community environments where majority of the coaches are going to be unpaid volunteers. Even if they're very knowledgeable, they're in a lot of places, they're not paid. So they didn't come there to just be attacked. Like, they're doing it because they love the game and they want the best for your child in that sport.
Yeah, I think there's various levels to it, though, isn't there? There's parents that are challenging in a number of ways. Sometimes they're not aggressive. They're not saying horrible things. They're just saying things that we don't want to, like some of the stuff we were talking about in the coaching behaviours stuff. They're telling kids what to do on the sideline.
Yeah.
They're trying to joystick control kids. That kind of behaviour. And I think that spreads really quickly, actually, is one point. If you're a parent, you see someone else doing that, you're like, I'm not doing that. Should I be doing that? Particularly for parents that don't have any knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
I've had
Surprisingly vocal.
yeah, surprisingly, but I've had so many good moments where I've literally. I remember being on the side. There was this woman that used to shout "goal side" all the time. Goal side, goal,
Goal
side,
side, ball side.
goal side, goal side. And then I remember I was next to her once, and I said, "Remember to get goal side. Remember, goal side means between the player and the goal." And she went, "Oh, is that what that means? Good to know." And I was like,
Oh my
"What
gosh,
have you been
Joe.
shouting at this
It's like
whole
football
time?"
cliches.
Yeah.
It's like football cliches, isn't it? It's like I've heard that all match of the day, so I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
it
yeah,
all day long.
yeah.
We go again. 0-0.
But I do think, like, your point is so important of saying to parents, because in some ways you can't blame them if they've got no direction or anything. Why would they? So in saying to parents that this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is what we're focusing on for this game.
Yeah.
This is what I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
This
This is what I don't want to
is
hear.
what I don't. This is where I want you to be. Pet hate. Other parent that follows their kid around the pitch.
Jokes.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Like, we have a parent area, have them on a separate side to the coaches on match days, and just give them some boundaries, because then I've definitely got myself into situations where I've not given a boundary and then I've had to challenge it, and it's like, I wish I'd given the boundary in the first place.
Yeah.
And I've got something to challenge.
But it's like something you said last time about someone said, I wouldn't go into my child's maths lesson and start shouting at them. And indeed, you probably wouldn't go in and start shouting at the teacher either. So the audacity of some of these parents to start shouting at coaches.
Or the refs.
Or the refs, or each other.
Or each other. Or, and this is the worst one, like the other team's players.
Oh my
That really
gosh,
gets
I
me.
was coaching years ago, and I was coaching a girl.
Flashback.
Oh my god, waves.
Here she is.
I was on the touchline. No, I was coaching years ago, and I was coaching a girls' team, and they were playing in a local boys grassroots league, and one of the opposition parents, like one of the players in particular, was very skillful, sort of 1v1. And she was just like rinsing this poor boy every time. And that boy's parent was just like, just kick her. Just next time, just kick her. And so he did. And my player wasn't really badly injured physically, but she was devastated that she had heard an adult instruct a boy to physically harm her, and he'd done it. And you know what? She wasn't even that upset with the boy. I think she was just so alarmed, as we all were, that an adult had basically instigated that whole thing. And the boy himself looked mortified. And he actually came over to afterwards to apologise to her and be like, I'm so sorry. But he was almost in tears himself. And I think, that's just a lesson for parents. And there's probably people listening thinking, oh yeah, that's quite extreme. But I've seen a lot as a coach from parents, and I'm smiling because I'm thinking about how quick I started off with, tell me about a positive experience. And we just really quickly just went into, but I think, that's the reality of a lot of dealing with parents is like, even when you start out with the best intentions of like, so I'm going to set out my stall and I'm going to be like, this is how we're going to do it. Like ultimately parents are just individual human beings themselves as well. And we can't control them. All we can do is try and influence them to act in the best way possible for their child and to set that example for their child.
I have to be honest and say, it's the one part of coaching I'm like, oh,
it's draining.
I didn't sign up for this. You're all like 15, 20 years older than me. You've all been on this earth longer than me. You've all raised children. I haven't raised a child. You've all done these things. And now I'm having to
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it really frustrating. I'm not looking at your nose again. I'm just looking.
Just wondered where she was
that vicinity. But I was going to ask you on the example you just gave, What was the opposition coach's response? How did they respond to one of their parents having said
That's a
that?
good question. In all honesty, I can't actually remember, but I think there was like an audible gasp when it happened, because the thing is, I don't think we heard that from the parents. My parents told me afterwards that that's what happened. So because you're on opposite sides of the pitch, we didn't actually hear that parent instruct that. But then my players' parents told me afterwards, like, oh, I can't believe they said that, and then that happened. So the opposition coach didn't hear it.
Okay.
But I think it was just I just felt, like, obviously I felt bad for my player, but I just felt really sorry for the boy. Because he was just like 12.
Yeah, it's the impact on the kids, really.
Yeah.
But I just asked that question because it's really tricky sometimes if you feel like you've got your parents in order, like in inverted commas, and then as the team you're playing, their parents don't behave
a nightmare.
A nightmare. The coach doesn't do anything about it, and then it kind of it always spills over into a bit of like bad blood between the parents. Not necessarily even anything said, but just like reports coming back to the coach. And it'd just be really nice if, as coaches, we were aligned. This is the behaviour we want from our parents on match day.
But again, and sadly, the reality of that is, like, I've watched opposition coaches behave appallingly.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise sometimes when the parents do as well. What's interesting though as well, I've also experienced parents who are very reserved, and that's kind of bizarre in itself. Who are like, because then the opposition parents are all like, like proper like cheering from the touchline. And then my players' parents are just like, yes, good. And I'm like, you can? Like, you're not going to get in trouble. Like, you can encourage them. I don't want you to coach them. I don't want you to give them instructions. But you can encourage them, and you can say well done, and you can celebrate when they score something. Like, you don't have to just be rigid on the touchline. So I've experienced the opposite of it as well. And that's like probably less damaging, but equally frustrating, because it's a bit like, do you even want to be here? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. I think sometimes they're unsure. I think I didn't realise, probably when I started coaching a league team, how it was a new experience for the parents as well. Because I'd been oh God, she's there.
Just
get that out.
Sorry for anyone not listening. Sorry, for anyone not watching.
We need to like have cough and breaks.
No, it's because I had the fizzy drink.
I hadn't realised. I think because I had been around grassroots football all my life, having played it, having watched my brother play it. Are you giving me some kind of secret signal?
No, I was just moving.
I thought you were giving me like a. Having watched my brother play it, having all these other experiences with it, having like watched my grassroots team in my village in Newcastle. So I know what it's about, and I think my assumption was just like, oh, everyone knows what that's about. But actually, a lot of my parents had no experience of any kind of grassroots football or any experience of match day actually. So really, if I could go back, what I would love to do is not just talk to the players about, like, learn about their experience of football and stuff.
Yeah.
Learn a bit more about the parents' experience. Like, have you been to a match day before? Do you know what to expect? Even down to, like, do you know what to tell your kid to bring?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And then learn more about how to kind of help them and support them with that, I suppose. Because you can tell, like, the parents that have maybe one of your kids has got an older sibling that played and they've been through that before, and that they're usually the parents that don't come because they're like, I've seen enough of these games. I'll send my kid along. I've been many days.
I know what this is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, that education part for parents is important.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel, as a female coach, that, I mean, I don't know for you because I don't know how much you've experienced coaching with a co-coach who's a man.
I've only ever coached with a man.
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes, or maybe all times, managing the parents is left to you? Or has it been shared equally, or has the co-coach taken on that role? What's your experience of that?
I think I'm more aware of it. I think I feel more strongly about what we should or shouldn't see there. I think, in all honesty, it's a difficult thing to challenge a parent.
Yeah.
If you're a female that has to challenge a male parent, that's difficult. And I would probably encourage male coaches to offer more support.
Yeah.
On that
So
side.
The reason it's interesting you say that, because that's like the reason I brought that up is because I had an experience at a club years ago where I was coaching with a man who had been coaching that set of players for years. And so he knew them, he knew all their parents, very like chummy. And I came in, I had to get to know everyone. And there was one parent in particular, bless him, because he did have the best intentions and he did have like his daughter's sort of well-being, in mind. But he just, because of his character and the way he was just very vocal, and he was like quite a big guy and he had quite a deep voice. And I think sometimes men forget that their voice can sound quite intense to children and other people when they really kind of bark. And so sometimes he just sounded a bit gruff, basically. And he would like...
I've heard that word in years.
Gruffalo.
That's what I was thinking.
And he would like really shout from the parent side of the pitch to the point where you could tell some of our other parents were a bit like, mate. And then some of the opposition parents were a bit like, what's got up this guy's butt? But also his daughter was so used to him that she just used to ignore him. Because I remember speaking to her first and foremost and being like, how does that make you feel? And she was just like, I'm just used to it. Like, to be honest, I just don't listen to him. But the thing is that used to like annoy him. So he used to do it more. Anyway, there was this one match in particular where the guy that I was coaching with was just like, Ali, can you just go around and sort that out? Can you just go walk around the pitch and have a word with him? And like, I was relatively new at the club. He'd known this guy for years. And I was just like, I'm probably maybe 5'6". This guy was like well over 6
Oh,
foot.
I thought you were saying 5 or 6 years
Yes,
old.
I was like 5 years old, right? And then he was like, do you want to go talk to this man?
No, I'm height-wise. Oh, it's come back again.
You have declared it every episode.
Yeah.
Maybe 5'6", she's 5'5".
I'm 5'5" and a bit, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so. 5'5.5".
Anyway, I wouldn't describe myself as petite, but I'm not tall. I'm not a physical force. I'd say. So now anyone that's met me, are you scared? I think I can be intimidating.
That Coach Ali, she's a right physical force. Imagine.
A force to be reckoned with.
You are, but
I mean, I am.
You
Don't
are.
get it twisted, but not physically.
you're a mental force.
Thanks. Can you put that on my gravestone?
Yeah. I'm in charge of Ali's gravestone.
Here lies
funeral.
Ali Speech,
Care home
aka
arrangement.
Coach Ali. She was a mental force.
She'll still want her Instagram handle on it. You'd put your Instagram handle on the
Underscore
gravestone.
Coach, underscore
Yeah.
Ali, underscore. Anyway.
Let me see if I can Insta from the grave.
Anyway, I'm 5'6" roughly. This guy was well over 6 foot. And I wandered round, and you know what, Steph? I handled it because I've got communication skills, which may not come across on this pod, but, everyone can crack under pressure. But, I have, and I'm very good with people. And so we had a nice chat, and he was like, no, I get it. And he was quieter for the rest of that game. Next week, exactly the same. But the point is, I offered, and that was sort of, that followed me, I think, in my roles at different clubs as well, because it's linked back to the point where we talk about, like, I think, we were talking about psychosocial and then tac and physical and sort of those roles and responsibilities being kind of divvied up between the sexes. And I think it's always just like, oh, well, you're a good communicator, so you can go and deal with all the crap. And it's like, no, actually, why don't you learn how to communicate so that you can, as you say, support me and we can deal with this together? So yeah.
I remember an incident actually where I was coaching at a tournament and just like a schools tournament, I think. Oh, that's relevant. There was a parent that was shouting all the time at a kid and it really wasn't appropriate. I was reffing the game and there was a coach on the side with the parent. And I came off and he was like, oh, I wish you just told that dad to be quiet. And I was like, you were stood next to him. I was in the middle of the game reffing. Like, you could have took that off my hands for me because actually that would have been really difficult for me to stop the game, come out, come back on. And I was like, just do it if you're there. Like, just support me a bit more. But I have a really nice example actually of a parent that runs the line for me, and we.
No, because it just immediately made me think of this one dad that used to do it without fail every week, and like, bless him.
They're great, but
They're the best.
Basically, we showed up to our pitch one time and warming up, opposition's warming up, 2 boys teams come on the pitch. I have a quick word with someone, turns out it's a double booking. So I'm like, oh God, here we go. Classic. So 2, because it was attached to a professional club, so they had 2 like full-time coaches, whatever. The 2 men head over to me in the centre circle. I like head over, and I'm already thinking like, I was like stealing myself because I was like, I'm gonna have to fight to try and get this game played or whatever.
Yeah,
it's me against these 2 men, and automatically you just feel a bit vulnerable,
uncomfortable for sure.
This dad straight over just to stand beside me.
Oh, sweetheart.
He is the best. I love him. And then the end of it, actually, these 2 guys went, girls football comes first, you need to play, which again, shout out, that was great.
Yeah.
But I don't think he knew how much that meant to me, that he didn't even come and say anything, he didn't take over or anything.
That's
didn't patronise me.
That's genuine allyship.
It really is.
Yeah.
He just came and stood next to me, and I was like, that was all I needed.
Yeah.
Actually, in that, which was great.
Let that be a lesson.
Let that be a lesson. On the parent lino thing then, parents getting involved. What's like pros, cons, how to do it?
What, in terms of running the line and stuff like that?
There's various ways they can get involved, isn't there? Like admin, running the line, coaching.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially in grassroots and community, community sport does not happen without volunteers. And parents are the best, like in many respects, the best volunteers, because you're there anyway, guys. Like, you're there watching your children play football. If you can help out as well, that's great. But the whole point of volunteering is that you have offered to do it. Like, there's no point making someone feel like they have to do it, because that doesn't work for anyone.
Well, we said that, didn't we, in the first episode? It was like, if you're doing it because you feel like you have to, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because people can tell.
Exactly. So, but I'm all for like the parents that want to and have good intentions. And again, it still involves some communication from the coach to be like, this is what this is about, and this is kind of how we're going to do it. But the parents that want to, I mean, yeah, why not? Like in grassroots and community, I'll take all the help you can get, because it's a lot. Like match day, which we talked about last time, is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. So yeah, if there's parents that are offering to help, thank you so much. But yeah, I don't see an issue with parents wanting to get involved as long as they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think another thing to consider as well, though, which I hadn't really considered, is how it impacts that parent's kid.
Oh, that's a very good point.
It's like, particularly obviously if someone's coming in to support with coaching.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, I was thinking things like
if they're washing the kit,
snacks,
half-time snacks,
running the line, that kind of thing.
But if they are taking on a more significant role, you kind of need to think about what's the impact on the kid. How does that change maybe how I communicate with that kid? Because that will happen probably when their parents are around, and just be really aware of that, and maybe try and have some open conversations around that.
Like, yes, definitely. And I think, like, neither of us had children, but coaching your own child must come with lots of pros and cons for sure. That I feel are quite well documented on social media, actually.
They are. We have some good. We can also put a link to an article by someone called Gemma Bell who coaches her son and just has some awesome tips on how she manages it and like the car journey home and all of that stuff.
The awkwardness, depending on the result and the performance.
I know.
The stress. Are we going to stop off at McDonald's or not? We did touch on that in the last episode, actually, about rewards, parents rewarding. But the thing is, I don't mind you rewarding a good performance, but don't use it as a threat that like hangs over the player while they're trying to play the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we spoke about in coaching behaviours is true for parent
for sure
behaviours. The things like we were saying about the player makes the decision about what to do in the game because they can see better. They can see better than your parents.
So this is a really good point. I often feel like...
You look really excited.
Sorry, just brainwave. That's my cherry Coke. Other cherry drinks are available.
3 listeners. Please don't just buy Coke.
Cocaine? It's not that kind of show. I've forgotten now. God damn it.
Oh, and you were so excited.
I was so excited.
What had I said? I said about coaching behaviours and not...
So I often think... You just got to see my eyes light up again. That was what it was about, wasn't it?
Special.
So I often think one of the issues with... One of the reasons I think sometimes some parents get frustrated with coaches is because they think the coach doesn't know what they're doing. Again, it comes back to communication. So if your parents understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're going to go about it, they can trust in that. But if they don't know because you've never had any conversations with them ever about anything, it's really easy. So for example, I was never the type of coach that would be screaming on the touchline. It was just never me. Even when they scored a great goal, I would applaud it and I might call out and be like, yes, well done, and name the player or whatever. But I certainly never shouted at them for mistakes, ever. And I also purposefully, as we've talked about when we talked about match day, I think, I purposefully did not instruct them from the touchline. I would do Q&A and I would talk to them at half time and, before and after the game and all that stuff. But, I'm trying to see what they know for themselves. And I think sometimes parents don't realise that. And they're like, well, she's not doing anything, so I'm going to have to help her out because she's out of her depth. She's not giving them any instruction. They're going to get battered in this game.
Exactly.
And so they take it on themselves. But all 12, all of the parents do that. And so... And then it just becomes this cacophony of sound. Yeah. And also one of my main reasons, aside from wanting to know what my players know for themselves, for not shouting out instructions is I have played football and I know that when I'm playing, if you're shouting stuff at me, I can't hear it. I'm not taking it in and processing in it because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. So all you're actually doing is putting me off and distracting me and disturbing me from the decisions that I'm trying to make for myself. So I have this thing about I don't talk to players, even if I'm doing it in a Q&A way, while the ball's rolling. Unless it's rolling at the complete opposite ends of the pitch to where they are, and I know I've got a window of time to actually discuss stuff with them. Yeah, I'm not doing it while the ball's rolling because they're trying to focus on the game. And that's why we're there. We're there for them to play the game. So, yeah, I do think that is one of the key things with parents, though. I think they genuinely think, oh, she's not saying anything because she does not know.
I think they're helping.
Yeah.
But I've had, I had an experience where there was a player I thought in a great position to shoot. She thought she was in a
great... You're like, license!
Yes. Okay, put your foot through it. No, she thought she was in a great position to shoot. So she went to shoot. Parent, shoot! Flinched. Obviously sliced it.
Got way under it.
And I did say to the parent, did you see how she responded when she panicked when she heard you say that. That's why I'm not saying it.
Like
Because look, she was going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
And you fucked it up.
like if I could leave any words of advice with parents, like there is a method to what we are trying to do as coaches. Please trust in it. And if you genuinely don't and you've got serious questions, come to us afterwards or come to us at training. But do not use match day as an opportunity for you to coach your kid.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, if you want to coach, go on then, but do it properly. Don't do it from the parents' side.
I was going to say, like, there's certain things, like, if you think I've not done something appropriately around your child's safety,
Yes.
your child's safeguarding, your child, come to me, go above my head, do whatever you need to do.
For sure.
Like, come and do that, please. And every coach should be open to that because we need to know we're doing the best there.
Yeah.
But if it's like a coaching thing, that is different. And it comes back to the training thing we were saying as well, where maybe parents are like, why are they just doing that? And why are they not doing two cues and passing between them? Because that's how you learn to pass. Like,
Yeah.
like seeing these new ways of training and thinking nothing's actually happening.
Yes.
I think is something parents maybe struggle to understand sometimes as well.
Definitely. I want to ask something that might be a bit controversial. Oh my gosh, you look like physically sick.
Come on.
And we can decide whether to leave this in or edit it out. As a woman,
That's how all good questions start.
As a woman, I have had some dads be a bit inappropriate with me in terms of like flirting and stuff. And it's something that I just think we should talk about on a pod like this because male coaches aren't going to talk. I mean, I'm not saying, I also know male coaches who have been completely objectified by mums. So guys, if you're listening and you got stories you want to share, like tell us. I'm not saying it doesn't happen the other way around, but the reason I raise it and that I think it's important is because it sits within a wider issue that is beyond football of everyday sexism, everyday misogyny, everyday objectification that women experience every day in all aspects of their life. And when you're coaching, even if you're an unpaid volunteer, you are still essentially like working.
Yeah.
And there should be safe spaces. Like, quite frankly, everywhere should be a safe space. But when you're at work, like, and so I just wondered, like, if you'd ever had any experiences of dads or maybe mums, just like, I'm just thinking about boundaries.
Honestly, I can think of coaches where maybe the boundaries have been blurred, but no, not parents. Not parents, not in that way.
Yeah. And like nothing kind of awful has happened with any parents, but I know I've had and they'll just make some comments and you sort of have to do that thing where you like politely laugh it off and you're like, So I don't know, it'd be interesting to know if any of our female coaches listening have ever experienced anything from other parents. I know, unfortunately, women, that you will have definitely experienced it from other coaches. But I just wondered if anyone had an issue.
I've had, and it comes back to when we're talking about being authentic with your players, I believe in being authentic with parents as well. And I've had to learn where to put a line in because one thing we should talk about is actually if you believe a parent's not behaving appropriately with a child, and it might be a safeguarding issue, what you need to do with that. But I've had a parent that I've felt has got a bit too attached to me and has started sharing, this has happened in my life, and Steph this, and it's obviously because I'm presenting like a safe human that's holding this space, and I do give you my time because I'm working with your child and all of this, and I've had to remove myself from that,
which is really important because you're not there to carry their shit.
No,
in the nicest way possible. Like, that's not part of your job.
But you have to find the line for yourself. Like, I'm happy for my parents to text me Or sometimes, they'll just be like, saw this and thought of you. Oh, Steph, how was this? I'm happy for that. Because I want to be on good terms with them.
Depends what they saw and thought of you.
Just saw Shrek 3, thought of you. No, I want to be on good terms with them. And I want them to know I am approachable and I'm there and we can have conversations.
Yeah.
And most parents, I think, know where the boundary.
Yeah. And also just for balance as well. I've known some absolute sweetheart dads who have been really kind to me. For most of my coaching career, I didn't drive because I only learned how to drive in the last few years. And even when I could drive, sometimes we used to go to some back and beyond places and they were like, do you want to jump in with us? Yeah. And that's lovely and that's really kind. And so, just for balance, I'm not a man hater. There have been some dads of players who have been really kind and really helpful to me and really supportive. And in the way that you described earlier when we talked about allyship. But also mums, I've known some mums, I had to separate two mums once at training sessions. We haven't really talked about training sessions. Because I know you said in an earlier episode, tip, don't let your parents come to training sessions. But in all reality, Steph, that's not an option for a lot of coaches. Yeah. Because parents kind of need to be there for safeguarding reasons as well, depending on your coach-player ratio. Yeah. Because if something happens to a player, you can't just leave all the other players and go to hospital with them or whatever. But so I know I had to separate two mums once that were just properly arguing with each other.
Physical force. Step in between them.
Coach Ali. Physical.
Coach Ali coming through.
Physical force.
Little tornado around you.
Little pocket rocket.
For fuck's sake.
Steph has sworn a lot in this episode. And this is the woman that's I don't really swear. And I've been so good on this podcast because I am you know what, you do you. I am an absolute potty mouth. And anyone who knows me knows that. And through years of coaching children, I've only got worse. No, I've had to work really, I was very conscious every time I coached, do not swear.
I can turn it on and off very
even when
quickly.
They were fucking shit. I don't really. We'll probably beat that one out. It's quite aggressive.
Beat it out. Oh, beep,
yeah. Oh my God, this is taking a turn. We'll just wrap this episode up. But I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, these two mums. Yeah, we're just kind of really arguing, and I had to step in and kind of be like, ladies. I didn't call them ladies though, because I hate it when
that would just
get called ladies.
That was.
So training, parents can be really difficult at training, and it's all the same rules apply though. Just communicate with them early, what it's about, blah blah blah, and just you have to get that buy-in from them because they spend more time with your players spend more time with their parents than they do with you, and so it has to be a team effort.
It is awkward though when you have parents. I've experienced a fight between parents because one parent thought their kid was working really hard and this other parent's kid wasn't trying for the team and was therefore letting their kid down, and they got into a big argument.
Hoo-ha.
And you're like, do I really need to be splitting this up?
Yeah, again, that's not this.
Women.
I'm happy to help manage behaviour of players. I do very much see that as within my gift and within my role as a coach. But you lot, man, just chill out. You're adults. Stop embarrassing yourself and your child.
That's the thing. So a really nice exercise that I did. Some takeaway advice.
Like yoga.
People. Like yoga.
Mindfulness.
Downward dog. No. A really nice exercise I did was a value setting exercise. And I didn't want it to be really boring where it was what do you think? So we were playing games. During the breaks, people would take Post-its and we had 4 questions. Why do you come here? What do you want to see from your coaches? What do you want to see from your players? 5 actually. What do you want to see from yourself? What do you want to see from your parents? And the best one on the parents thing was parents should be seen and not heard.
Amazing.
So then the idea was then I like pulled it all together and like pulled the common stuff together and typed it up and I was completely wrong. I was like, oh, that's a bit strong, isn't it? So I took that out and I left some other thing in about parents. The first thing they said to me, the kids was like, Steph, where's parents should be seen and not heard? That's our key point. And I had to put it straight back in. And then I had to send it to the parents and say, here's the value statement. Please read the parents piece.
Yeah.
And like your point earlier about talking to the players, how does it make them feel? Mm. Sometimes all you can do as well is if there's a parent that does consistently shout and stuff, talk to their child and be like, in the next 70 minutes, 90 minutes, you just focus on what I'm saying to you. That's all you need to listen to.
Yeah.
Nothing else. How is that making you feel? All of these kind of things. Because I think one of the really important thing about the boundaries is that if a child perceives you as too close to their parent, they might not be able to express themselves in the way they want to with you, or
such a good point,
or like talk to you about things they want to talk about, like because you need to be a safe space for them first before you are for their parent.
Absolutely. And also like in terms of safeguarding as well, like very early on in my coaching career, I had a parent turn up like I think it was the second week running, and I was like, that's definitely alcohol. Like they smell of alcohol. And it's like, you know, you need to provide, that's what I'm saying. First and foremost, I'm here for the player.
Yeah.
And I need to provide a safe space for that player. And I have a safeguarding duty, as we all do, to look after children. And so I think, it's those boundaries are really important for those reasons as well. I just wondered, gear change, if you had any social media things you wanted to ask me. If you don't, that's fine.
You put it on me all the time.
Because you said that you had some.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
I'm gonna have a look, Steph.
I don't, well, what it is, I'm not on Facebook and I don't go on Twitter anymore for my own mental health. So people don't really post stuff like this on Instagram.
I've got, it's so basic.
Social media.
Oh, sorry. Do it again without me talking over you.
No, that's it. I can't. I'm not performing.
Recreate magic.
I mean, I absolutely
am. Pocket Rocket. You are. If you ever want something amusing, just do this in front of Ali's face. See how quick she changes. It's so basic, but I feel like this is the kind of boring stuff we are here for. All right?
Great. Rate us 5 stars, listeners.
Best way to clean your boots.
Oh my goodness me! Right,
or your child's boots.
I've got a what's it called? Boot buddy.
Well, this person.
Other brands are available.
Funny you should say that. Boot buddy caused them to dry a bit smelly.
Okay, so I think it's in how you leave your boots to dry though. Like, don't like drench them. I think that's the thing. You're
newspaper.
But also don't. You're just supposed to get a bit of. You have the soapy solution, don't you, in the boot buddy?
What is it? Should
we explain what a boot buddy is, just in case?
Yeah, and then could you just explain the makeup of your soapy solution?
Always. So boot buddy, for anyone who doesn't know, just Google it. No, what it is it's basically like this little container with like on one end it's got a brush, quite a stiff brush, and on another end it's got like a little screw top where you can open it up and fill the content, like fill that little contraption up with soapy solution. I always just used to use a bit of washing up liquid.
Okay, that's what I
and hot water.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you just, as you use the brush, you can just squeeze and that comes out onto your boot. But I feel like maybe what that person's doing is they're letting it all just flood their boot, and then maybe they're not leaving their boots to dry in an appropriate way. Like if you then just stick them in your boot bag while they're still wet, you're going to get mold issues.
I think that's a really good tip, is don't overdo it on the solution, and put something in it to dry it out.
Yeah. But also leave it out in the air to
leave
dry
it in
out.
The air.
Don't like put it in a cupboard or put it in the boot bag.
Yeah.
Like leave it in the air. And actually it takes longer than you think for boots to dry thoroughly.
It does. So make sure you clack them together.
Clack, clack, clack.
Clack, clack, clack. Get that mud off. and then dry and then wash them straight away.
Yeah.
I actually think I've had a boot buddy. My brother's had a boot buddy. We're all about the toothbrush.
Yeah, so I will say I'm not trying to cause any beef with Boot Buddy, but my Boot Buddy split really early. The seam of it splits. All the water just comes out the side now. So it's really good to use the brush, although you could just buy an old fashioned brush.
Or just honestly, just your toothbrush, because then you can get in the little bits as well. Don't use it again as a toothbrush.
Just there with my electric Oral-B, and then I'm doing my teeth fresh.
You know when your 2 months is up with your toothbrush.
Yeah.
Then you put it under the sink and it comes part of your cleaning equipment.
But not if you use an electric toothbrush, because then you've literally got
don't
that
do
tiny
that.
head.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna have to.
Yeah, you
even
need
if
a
you just
bigger
do it
head.
hand powered, you just.
Hand powered.
Well, rather than being like.
How do you brush your teeth? Hand powered.
Well, I don't. I let the batteries do it. I think we should come off. And that was today's pod. For additional content, please log on to
Who's got the balls?
www.who'sgottheballs.backofthenet.
That would be good, wouldn't it? We'd have that.
Yeah, great. Great stuff, like quality. Gold.
There's loads more we could say.
Consistently
There's loads more we could say.
gold.
Where's the
content.
mouse gone again?
I don't know.